Alright, I think we are live. Hey everyone, FusedVR coming at you, and welcome to the weekly FusedVR Livestream. Or I guess it's now turning more into a bi-weekly livestream, but we always have tutorials every week. So yeah, this is going to be building Fruit Ninja VR today, and let me just kind of pull that up right now. I have the game view open just so you guys can see it. And so yeah, I just kind of pulled in this like low poly park world, and we have a few fruits here. But actually, I'm gonna move here so that you can actually see. Oops, one on my cord. But yeah, so these are the katanas that Abdo built, and we've added in this like slight little motion blur on the tip of the sword. And there we go. And so yeah, so that basically I'm gonna show how to do that, and then I think the part that everyone is interested in is how do you actually cut these fruit. So I can kind of do a little chop motion here, break them up a lot. I was like playing around with this yesterday, and I was just like, I wish cooking was this easy, because like I just have to move my hand just a little bit, and boom, chop it up into nice itty bitty pieces right there. And so yeah, going to be doing that. There's a nice plugin that if you go to the FusedVR website, you can find the link to that, as well as the plugin that we use for the motion blur, and also the art assets. So yeah, this is basically what we're going to build. And honestly, it's with the plugins, it's honestly not that difficult. So if you're like new to VR development and like have just learned the basics of Unity, I think this is actually probably a really good tutorial to kind of get you started, because yeah, not that much to it. So go ahead and put this down. There we go. And yeah, I haven't like fully like the plugin isn't honestly, so like if you're trying to build like a full commercial game, you probably want to optimize that plugin a bit, but like to get started, I think it's still very, very good. So let me go minimize that, and we'll just close that. So no. Okay, so let me open up the chat here. And so yeah, so Abdo's in the chat now. He built the katana and the fruits. So if you have any questions about how to build those, or if you have questions, I guess, about his video, which was amazing last week, I watched it. It was like super awesome to actually see. Like I got back from Yosemite last weekend, and then I was like, wow, this is actually a really good tutorial to get people started. So props to him on that. And yeah, if you have questions, anything art related, feel free to hit him up in the chat. But yeah, let's go ahead, open up a new Unity package. And I guess while I'm doing the basic setup here, let me ask the audience, which do you guys prefer? Do you guys prefer Fruit Ninja VR, the one that came out last week, or do you prefer Zenblade, which is the one that came out several months ago? They're still making patches to it, which I think is really cool. I feel like, I mean, there definitely are some differences to them, but yeah, I'll leave it at that. I'm kind of curious to see what you guys think as far as like the difference between those two, because they are pretty different experiences in my opinion. I'm gonna go ahead, go to the asset store. I'm gonna be pulling in the Steam VR plugin. Let's see. Yep, that's right. Cool. Import. I haven't played either. Well, I recommend playing one. That's for sure. Like one or the other just gets you involved with what's going on, I guess, in the VR community in general. And I mean, honestly, like for me, I tried Fruit Ninja VR like just to like try it out this past weekend, or sorry, this past week, and I was like, I don't know, like Zenblade works really well on my laptop, which is what I'm using right now, but Fruit Ninja VR was a little laggy at times. So not really sure why that was the case, but I guess that's Y534. The reason for that is because I'm waiting for, I mean, I have the beta of 5.4, but I don't, there's still some bugs in 5.4 that I'm just basically like, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth. I'll migrate over to 5.4 as soon as it actually comes out. But this was like what am I on? I'm on 534 P1. Where is it? About Unity. Yeah, 5431 P1. That was like the latest stable version that I was using. I've run into some issues in 535, which is why I haven't moved up yet. So yeah, that's the reason why. I'll definitely upgrade to 5.4 as soon as it comes out, which is I think the end of this month. So super excited for that. Um, yeah, I like ZenBlade too. I mean, I like both. ZenBlade just runs better on my on my laptop. I think I missed some questions, so let me backtrace. Um, yeah, as far as like the live stream, like I said at the beginning, I think this is a fairly easy one. So hopefully we'll see how long it lasts. No more than 2 hours for sure. Um, yeah, the plugin name is kind of misleading, but it's a random. I actually found it on. I found the plugin like looking through YouTube videos, so I was kind of surprised by that. And Unreal versus Unity, I'd say Unreal for if you're doing desktop VR and like you haven't learned one engine or the other, like I would say take a look at Unreal. If you're doing mobile VR, I highly recommend Unity because it has a forward renderer built into it for lighting purposes, and it's overall just a lot more optimized for mobile. So keep that in mind. And actually, I think that brings up another question here. Um, I guess so. A couple people have asked me, like my friends included, like they have Gear VRs, they have cardboards, and I guess eventually once Daydream comes out, people will start getting those. But like people have been interested in like mobile VR development, and yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I'm curious to see like what your guys' take on that is. Like, do you think like that's valuable stuff to do, or like would you prefer to see more Vive stuff? Yeah, let me know in the chat because that's something I'm still kind of like tinkering around with like mentally, like what makes sense to work on. So yeah, so now that we have Steam VR imported, I'm gonna go ahead and I have on my desktop, I have it somewhere, called it assets. I have the models, which I'm actually gonna create a models folder here. Models. And we're just gonna drag and drop the fruits and katana models into this folder. That creates a materials folder in here. And yeah, so there we go. We have our fruits and we have the katana. So we have this new scene here. So all I have to do to get the Vive set up is go to SteamVR prefabs, get the camera rig. I'm gonna put that at 0, 0, 0. It's this reset button. I'm gonna also get rid of the main camera. So with that, Vive is set up, and let's just get the katana working. So for that, just go to models, go to left and right controller, and we're just going to drag our katana into here to both controllers. I think mobile VR will have the largest audience. Yeah, I agree. My only issue with like mobile VR is just you obviously you don't have hand controllers, which I think plays a huge part in it. But I mean, if people are interested in seeing that, we can also do it. We can also do that. Yeah, I don't know. Time is honestly the limiting factor here. That's pretty much it. Um, let's go ahead and hit play just to kind of see what this looks like. Oh, I didn't hit play. Classic. All right, so throw this on. That was a horrible throwing on of the headset. All right, come on, buddy. Cool. So this is a basic katana. We haven't done anything with the model, so this is just kind of straight out of Blender. We want to. So one thing we noticed, like the orientation is right. We want these to be parallel, or yeah, parallel. That's not the word I'm looking for. I guess cutting, I guess, into the controller right here. I'm actually gonna move, like right now it kind of feels a little short because we're not actually holding the handles, we're actually holding somewhere in the middle. I'm not really sure what exactly we're holding. So we'll push the katanas forward so that basically it feels like an actual sword. I'll have more range, and it'll just feel a lot better. And then the other thing I want to do is just make the sword material metallic, which just kind of gives it that shiny feel, and overall it just makes it feel a lot cleaner. So yeah, with Daydream, I've played around with it a little bit, but the one issue I've run into is that like it's a 3 DOF controller instead of a 6 DOF controller. So you don't get as much flexibility. It's the problem. But yeah, no, it's still, I guess, it's not as cool as these guys, but still, I think, pretty cool. So gonna go ahead and I'll actually do it here. We have metal. I'm just gonna crank up the metallic to 0.5, and you can see in the preview the material looks a lot shinier, and it'll be reflected in VR. And the other thing that we're gonna want to do is actually let me hit play for this first so that we actually can see the hand model, and then move the katana on this guy just to kind of get this. We can get the same positioning on both, but that move it down a little bit. Yeah, I like so. I think that maybe a little more. Yeah, something like that. I think should. We'll try it out in VR, but I think that looks reasonable. Let me go ahead, save that, paste the values in for both of these guys, and yeah. So now it should just save those values wherever it is. There it is. So that might have been too much actually. Let me move it. Let me move it back a little bit for both. Oops. And yeah, like I just kind of have the models in there just to kind of give me a frame of reference, but not the end of the world if you've already disabled them. Where did it go? There it is. Yeah, that looks reasonable. And yeah, we can take a look at that in VR also, but just making sure we're holding the handle as opposed to the sword, because swords are deadly. Don't want to cut yourself, that's for sure. And so yeah, basic sword kind of set up like that. And I think the next thing to do is let's add in that motion blur effect, which we basically, let's see, so the asset I want to use is X weapon trail. No. X. Here, you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually not going to go through the asset store. I have the link open here somewhere. Yeah, so if you want the links to all of that, that's on our blog post. Actually, that's an old version of the blog post. Or not, never mind. That's fine. We can get it, so it's this guy. And so yeah, okay, fine. X dash weapon trail, that's what it is. And so I'm gonna open that. That pops into the asset store, which is perfect. And yeah, that'll probably be a download button for you. If you haven't gotten it before, if you've never used X weapon trail, which is likely unless you've done sword stuff. But I mean, for me, it's just a normal, just an import. So that's convenient. And so yes, now we have that in here. Let's just quickly, yeah, let's go ahead and save this scene. Let's call it slicing scene. Yeah, no, I'm being super careful right now. Don't want to cut myself. And yeah, let's just actually look at their demo scene because I think it's really cool. So we have a few buttons here, activate, and so yeah, there you go. And so yeah, we're literally just gonna copy exactly what they have here. There's no reason to change it. I think it looks really, really good. Hey Threshton, how's it going? And yeah. And so yeah, we're just gonna use that. And so to use it, we actually have to go somewhere. Where is it? Here it is. We're just gonna use their simple one. They have a bunch of different varieties if you want to play around with that. But for our purposes, I'm just going to go ahead and copy the component there. And let's go to our slicing scene. And now for our katanas, actually one thing I'm going to do is actually create a prefabs folder. And the reason for that is just so that I can only have to update one of these katanas and they'll both update, which just saves me overhead in actually implementing this thing. But yeah, so now if I just literally update the katana prefab here, and I'm going to go ahead and paste component as new, it should now be in both of these. Yay! Nice and easy. And so yeah, so now if we actually go click on this guy, so somewhere we should see some red dots. Oh wait, no, I forgot something. We actually need to, let's go back to that X weapon demo, don't save. And we actually need to copy not just that component, we need to copy the whole thing. And the reason for that is it's actually using a start and end point right here, which we could have defined in our test scene, but just for simplicity, I'm just going to copy the whole game object. And let's go ahead, click on the katana, and hit paste. And paste that in. And so yeah, there we go. That start endpoints. And so the nice thing here is, so there's that blue, there should be a red somewhere. Maybe not. Oh, there it is. So blue and red, those are actually defining what the start and end points of our slicing is. But we basically, all we need to do is go to our sword and just kind of move our start and ends to the sword. So I'm just going to reset that. And by reset, I mean drag it. I don't know. Oh, okay. It's because of this thing. Let's just reset this guy to get that a lot closer. That's still really far away from where I want it to be, but that's fine. This is just a lot of manual moving around here just to get it into position. So this looks about right. So the start is just going to be the bottom of the blade. That looks about right. And let's go ahead and reset this. And perfect. So this is going to be the end of the blade. Which is, yeah, so now actually, for whatever reason, they have finally decided to cooperate with the GUI. And so yeah, so there's the start, there's the end. And so yeah, now let's actually just save the prefab. Yeah, just actually save the prefab, which we're gonna just drag and drop. No, delete, just drag and drop this guy down. And so now we have a prefab of that. We can delete that model and then just move that in. Oops. Come on. No, I want it nested. There we go, perfect. So I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. And yeah, let's just test to make sure we actually, I saw something. Now I just have to make sure that this is working the way we want it to. You on? Yeah, there we go. Nice. And yeah, we can wave it around. We can do whatever we want. I think there are controls on the katana. Yeah, so we can change the FPS, we can change the color, number of frames. We can change all of this stuff. Granularity, what does this do? And this is just honestly just playing around with it. Well, that granularity doesn't look right. I think we want to keep that at 60. That looks right. Let's try max frames. Oh, I think max frames is how long the, yeah, I think that just made it shorter. let's see, maybe what happens if I use 1? Yeah, that's a lot smaller. Honestly, like, if you're playing around with this and building it, like, turn it off and turn it on. Like, I think you'll notice it just adds a whole different weight to the sword. Like, it makes it nice and swift. It like, I don't know how to describe it. It just like, it has this very nice feeling to it that you don't get unless you add that in. And I think that's just super cool. And yeah, you only get that control really with hand controllers in VR, and I think that's awesome. Yeah, that's probably true. 90 FPS makes a good amount of sense there. So let's go ahead and now I can hit apply. Yeah, perfect. That should also be applied on here now. Yep, there we go. Benefits of a prefab is it just applies it to both my hands, which I think is really nice. And with no coding, we now have a pretty good looking sword that we can now start using to slice things. So to start slicing things, let's actually now go ahead and get the yeah, so someone had mentioned this before, but blinded and me is like the weirdest name for a package. And like it is extremely hard to find this thing. But oops. And for whatever reason, when I click the Unity package, it actually tries to open Unity again, as opposed to actually just importing in. So let me just go ahead and drag that in, get that to be imported. VFX makes it work. Yeah, it really does. VFX, like, it's like one of those things that I need Abdo for because like I like not being an artist, like I sometimes miss stuff like this, but like it really does make a world of a difference and like distinct like makes that world really come to life. Is haptic possible? We can add. I actually haven't looked into how to do haptics, but we can look into that. So yeah, so at this point, let's go ahead and just look at this package here. I'm going to be using the, yeah, let's go ahead and say that by networking them. Networking your events. Oh, okay, cool. So this is the basic scene that they use for slicing a mesh. And yeah, I'll explain it now. But basically, if we click on this blade here, they've done a nice job here. Like basically, this is going to be our slice. And really all they're doing in the plugin is you define the start position of your blade and the normal of the blade. That's what I wanted to say. So those two together define a plane, and together you basically you can cut any, you define which mesh you want to define, and then so in this case here, actually I'll just show you. We can go ahead and if I just click, that activates the slicing there. So I'm just gonna click it and then attempt to pause it really fast. Okay, cool. Good enough. So what they did here is they basically, you have a mesh, and a mesh is defined out of vertices. Let me pull up the stats. It's basically defined out of vertices and triangles. So basically all they did was they defined this plane, and you can do some pretty simple math to basically figure out, is this vertex on the left or right of this plane? And once you do that, or like up and down, depending on wherever the plane is set, but basically dividing the 2 points here and here, and then you just look at all the triangles that are connecting these things together, and if for any triangle, if it's a triangle is basically connecting vertices together, I should explain that. So if the plane like kind of cuts the 2 vertices together, then it like redefines points to kind of separate them. That's basically what it's doing. And yeah, you can do this at a shader level, which is probably the most efficient thing. They do it at the CP level with a script, which is fine. It just kind of means that you have to keep your polygons really low. That's kind of what we figured out. We tried experimenting with this plugin at fruits that were about 1,000 or so polygons, and yeah, it was not performant at all. You'd get these high FPS spikes, and I tried to optimize it a little bit with some coroutines, but that didn't seem to help too much. But yeah, something to keep in mind. Photon pun. Photon pun is fun. And so yeah, so this is basically slicing the mesh. This is literally what we're going to do. And if we actually look at the code, because we're going to be copying the code, so it is in this tool user script. So let's go into this, just open it up. You'll see it's not that complicated actually. So yeah, this is all they need to do to actually define where they want to cut, and then once they define what they want to cut, actually cutting it. And this code is what's drawing the sword that you see on the display, so like this thing. And actually, like I should also point out, it doesn't appear here. This is strictly for the editor, which is, I think, nice. And so yeah, so that's the on-draw gizmos, and then all they do is once you click the button, then they do a raycast to see what you're hitting, and once you do that, then it just gets what you hit, which is the cube in this case, gets you the pieces of it by doing this one call to that basically says what am I cutting, how is the plane defined, and what material should I replace for the actual cut, and that's this cap material here. And that material is strictly just so that it just knows what to fill in. So that breaks it into two pieces, and once you do that, then it just checks to make sure the second piece has a rigid body. And I don't know why they have this line in here. I haven't really seen it do anything. You can comment it out. It doesn't seem to do much. But yeah, that's basically this in a nutshell. That's literally all they had to do. So yeah, that's that. And we're just actually just gonna, we know where tool, we know somewhere. Yeah, here it is. We're just gonna copy tool user. I press Control D there, and just move tool user out to assets. Just gonna hit F2, rename that as sword cutter. And really the only thing we have to do is instead of the mouse, we just have to do it whenever we hit a mesh, we cut it, is basically all that we need to define. So it's actually not that big of a change, really. This raw Steam VR. Yeah, I'm using just raw Steam VR right now. I mean, like, I definitely I need to play it with the VRTK. I think it's a really cool asset that people should use. But I mean, just for like the basic stuff, like this isn't actually. Threshin, does your plugin support slicing of any kind? I didn't actually look into that, but if it does, that's super cool. So yeah, I'm gonna name this sword cutter. We want to keep that cap material. We don't need this on draw gizmo because we have a sword in place already. And update. So instead of update, we're actually going to use void on. Yeah, now you might be able to add it. Collision. Let's just name it collision. Simple. And so yeah, okay. So we're just going to define this here. This is a physics entity, and basically this is called whenever you interact with something. And this is, I just took here. Let me pull up the docs on this because that's probably more valuable than me explaining it. On collision enter, perfect. So this is what we have on collision enter, and so this is really different. So there are two types of methods. So there's on trigger enter and on collision enter. So on trigger enter is the more efficient version to use because it doesn't do any of the physics calculations. And on collision enter is when the physics engine has kicked in. It's like figuring out how far I'm going to push things, what are the forces that are interacting with everything, like what was my impact velocity, all of that good stuff. So that basically gets applied here. And yeah, so we're going to use on collision enter because in the case that you want to, like, so for Zenblade and for Fruit Ninja VR, what they do is like you don't actually cut unless you actually make a swing. So you can, with on collision enter, you can actually detect like how fast you're moving your sword and like what the impact velocity is and like impact forces. So for that, this is the method to use. For on, if you just want to know this object hit this object at whatever time, then use on trigger enter. But if you want to know some more information, then on collision enter is the object to use. So we have this. We are actually literally going to copy and paste that code in here. And instead of hit, wow, I couldn't spell collision. Collision. There we go. We're just going to do, instead of hit, collision.collider.gameObject. And honestly, that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And that's, well, we can get rid of, yeah, we can get rid of all of this. So yeah, so that's the sword cutter, and then we'll add a little bit more to this, but for the gist of it, yeah, the fruits we added, yeah, they're very low poly, so which is why we're able to use them. If they weren't, this plugin crashes. Unless you, it could honestly be my laptop also. What am I? I think I'm running an i7, so I don't know which version of i7, but I know that it is an i7, which is kind of bad because there are so many variants of i7. And yeah, so let's go ahead. Not that prefabs. We want this prefabs. We're just going to click on our katana. Like I said, this is actually, most of this is really easy. This is surprisingly easy. Like no, like when I first thought about Fruit Ninja, I was thinking like this is going to be obscenely complicated. But like once you find the right assets to use, I was like, wow, I can copy this code here. I can use this. I can use this, and boom, we have Fruit Ninja really fast. And surprisingly not that complicated. I mean, if you guys want me to slow down, let me know in the chat, because yeah, I'm doing. Here, let me see if I can. This is this is the laptop I'm using. It's an Asus ROG. Runs a 970M. So not VR ready, but VR ready enough for me. So yeah, that is what I'm running right now. Yeah, 970M. Cool. So for the sword cutter, what I'm gonna do is, where was that material that they used? They used like some, they called it this one. Yeah, I think it was this derpy. Yeah, we'll just go with this derpy material. So let's go ahead, find the katana, and we're just gonna drag this one in for now. We honestly, like, this is just purely for testing purposes. Like you could make it so that each of the fruit has their own material, and which is what you should do. Which is what you should do is each of the fruit has their own material, and like when you actually cut it, it like you'll actually see the seeds or like whatever it is. And like the material cost isn't so high as much as, like, honestly, the bottleneck of this is really the cutting algorithm. And like I said, I'm pretty sure, like my hunch is that Fruit Ninja VR and maybe Zenblade, I'm not sure about Zenblade, are probably using the same algorithm, like the plane cutting and dividing it into two, but probably using it on a shader calculation so that you get the parallel, or at least I hope they are, that they're getting the parallelization of the GPU to, because I mean that it's basically just a for loop over all the vertices to figure out if you're left or right of the plane. Um, but yeah, I mean shaders, I try to avoid shaders as much as possible, especially when prototyping, just because they are a pain to like actually get right. If you're not cutting things, just hitting them, you can use. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, if we, well, we are cutting them here, but if we are just hitting them, what is a good poly count? I would say on the Vive, eh, depending on, I think it's like in total for your scene, you can probably go upwards of 100K, like somewhere between probably 100K to like 500K would probably be good. I mean, you can, I mean, obviously the lower the better, but like as far as poly counts are concerned, you can go fairly high, I think. Hit mesh in a script, and then yeah, we totally can. I would actually, the way I would, well, given that we're going through this so quickly, like I will probably we'll probably add in like a few bells and whistles, like figuring out how to do the controller vibrations. I think that I don't know. Let me know. What do you guys think? Do the haptics and these guys, like, do they actually add a lot to the experience for you, even if that's like really simple? Um, my opinion is it does, but like I don't know if that's for everyone because it's not the highest fidelity as like some other type of things. And so yeah, we have the victim. I'm just gonna add, just for testing purposes, I'm gonna add a cube in here somewhere. Somewhere, not on top of me. I want it like here. Yeah, this looks good. For the on collision stuff, you need to make sure we have a rigid body. So I'm just going to do this. Get rid of gravity for now. We also need to have rigid bodies for this. And actually, probably the right thing to do is in the sword cutter script, let's just do a require component. I didn't actually do this in my testing, but I'm gonna do it now. And just call this type of rigid body. So yeah, so that's the bare bones, just to make sure this thing gets tossed on, or it'll complain at the very least. Should complain at the very least. Get rid of that. And we're gonna mark the sword as kinematic, which basically means that we're not letting physics move it around. We're gonna move it around. So 1 0 0 0. Cool. I think that should be fine, and we'll just hit apply so that it actually goes to the other controller. Yeah, optics I think are pretty cool. Not gonna deny that. So I think, oh, the other thing I have to do is actually add a on the katana. Oh, okay, this is something I forgot. This actually shouldn't be on the sword. It should be on the controller. And the reason for that is simply because we want to make sure that we're using transformed opposition, which with the katana we've like offset a little bit, so it's not accurate to exactly where the slice point should be. And we're using transform.right to define what exactly that plane is. So all of that is defined correctly on the controller and not on the sword, because we've kind of rotated, not rotated, but we've moved it around. Actually, no, we have rotated it. We have rotated it, and so yeah. So like the orientation there is not exactly the same. So we have the option of either using the controller model or using the katana. I'm just gonna prefer using the controller just because it's a rigid body. So I'm gonna hit apply there. This is fine, and we just have to do the same thing here. So just add sword cutter. I'm gonna go ahead, drag and drop that. Oh, SteamVR haptics are broken. I haven't actually ever played with the SteamVR haptics, so that that'll be an experience today to figure out how to do that. Unless like someone's gonna magically walk me through that, which I'm totally down for. So okay, so at this point, the only thing we have to do is actually just add a mesh collider to this, and this is just going to be able to detect when we actually hit something. And this is, well, it's kind of convex, but we don't have to worry about that. Apply there. And let's just, okay, Please be in the right spot so I don't actually have to move. No, it's on the other side. Alright, I'm gonna move this over here so I don't have to turn around. Alright, come on. There we go. Yeah. Mine is breaking my controller. That is where. Let me move this in a little bit. Alright, so now if I slice, if I have control over my controller. Yeah, so we can slice in any position. You see the kinematics of it, like we'll actually push our cube, and yeah, but like we're able to slice it now, and yeah, real life sound effects for me slamming my controller against my laptop. Perfect. Control the pulse type. Perfect. But yeah, we can slice things. Really, the only thing left to do at this point is actually spawning our fruit and yeah, just kind of tossing them in the air. So for that, what we're gonna do is we'll just create a simple spawner script, and let's go to our models first, and I just kind of want to break this out into prefabs and kind of get the scaling right. So with the banana, I think, what did I use? I think I used 10 last night. I think a scale of 10 looked reasonable. I think everything else I used 25. So yeah, just like, right, these were modeled pretty big. We didn't have time to like bring it down to scale in the model itself. But yeah, you can just change the scale pretty easily here. And let's go to our prefabs folder. I'm just going to create one for fruits. Open that up. And then just drag and drop each one individually into here. And yeah, so that'll do it for those. Now we have prefabs. And actually for all of these, I'm going to add a mesh collider and a rigid body. So let me go ahead and make them convex. So for the fruits, they actually do need to be convex. Otherwise, I believe, yeah, on collision, enter will not activate unless they're convex. And so let's mesh collider, and then we just have to add a rigid body. So for these, I'm going to make them weigh a large amount, and I'm going to add a little drag to them. Yeah, I think I used 1. We'll keep gravity enabled, and that should do it. So now the prefabs are now set up properly for cutting them. So like actually, if I replace this with a banana, and I'm just gonna move it closer. Oh wait, I had gravity enabled. Let's just get rid of gravity here. Yeah, I think that was cut a little bit, but and then the rigid body just kind of pulled it down. But yeah, that's the basics of it, and we'll play around with that a little more. There are a few problems that we will address to actually fix it. It's a small little bug in the plugin actually, so we'll fix that. That's not a big deal. But go ahead and get rid of the banana. Actually, let's fix it now. Just before we actually spawn fruit, probably better to fix it now. This is what I'm thinking. I'm just going to move this a little closer. And so the problem here is actually, let's go ahead and open up this guy, or is it mesh cut? The problem here is actually that when we spawn our fruit, there's this one line of code that's missing somewhere at the bottom, somewhere. Let's see if I can find it. Find it relatively quickly. There it is. So here, what they do is so that you create the left object, they just replace with whatever mesh you had there currently. And then the right object is they apply all of your transform properties to it. But the one thing they actually forget to do, so we're just going to copy that line, paste it here, is they forget to set your local scale. And so as a result, you'll see that the left the right object or the right half of the mesh kind of, if you have a scale different from 1, 1, 1, it'll appear in some random place, and that's simply because the scale is missing. So once you apply the scale, it'll come back to the same place, and everything will be hunky-dory. And so yeah, so that's fixing local scale. So now hopefully, assuming that was the only issue there, oh, right, I need to get rid of this guy. Okay. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, that's perfect, and it was sliced. And then I guess the only other thing is, let's go back to our script. So not this guy, our sword cutter script. So that right piece, which is pieces at 1, if we actually go, so this is actually that cut method that we called. And so if we just pick left and right side, that's basically what's returned to us. Left side is the original mesh, right side is the newly created game object. And so pieces at 1 is that right side. So we're basically, the code that was given to us basically just checks, does it not have a rigid body, and then it adds it. We're also going to want to add a couple things to it. So one, rigid body, that's fine. And then the other is actually just a mesh collider. I'm actually going to, I didn't do this in the code I was writing yesterday, but let's just call it temp. And we're just going to say temp dot convex equals true. Cool. And so basically all this does is it adds that mesh collider so that, like I showed at the very beginning, like you can just kind of quickly do those chopping motions, and then you'll be able to chop any object that we add in. So that's that. Why do they? I'm still not entirely sure why they're doing this. I'm just going to comment it out. Not really sure why that's there or what purpose it serves, but yeah, that's that. And so yeah, so now let's just actually throw some fruit around, because that's really the only other thing that makes Fruit Ninja, because at this point, with how much code did we write? So we wrote, nah, we didn't write any of this. That doesn't count. we wrote this one line and these 2 lines. With 3 lines of code written, we basically have a slicing algorithm to cut Fruit Ninja together. And this is why I said, like, I don't think we're gonna hit 2 hours, because really it's not that complicated to actually get started and develop. So at this point, really, we just have to spawn fruit. That's not a complicated algorithm at all. Let's just create a script for that. Let's call it, nope, I have to hit C# script first. C# fruit ninja. No, why did I call it Fruit Ninja? I thought about Fruit Ninja, and then I was like, nope, it's not. This is fruit. That's what this is gonna turn into, and I'm down for that. Speaking of playing, who's been playing Pokemon Go? I want to know. I feel like it's everyone, but like I know that's not true. Let's see. So we have fruit spawner. We actually are not going to use update. And let's just create a public game object. Let's call it an array of fruit. Call it produce. The zombie apocalypse. It's happening. It's happening. Yeah, it's really bad right now. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I'm just honestly, I'm more surprised. I guess this is just kind of the business side of me. I'm just more surprised that all these businesses are super hyped about like using the lures to actually like drive business, and it's working. That's the part that I'm like really surprised by. Oh, Gerard, are you in Europe? Because I know that is one place it's not out. Or like actually, well, it's not out in most of the world. What am I saying? Okay, so we have fruit prefab. That's basically where we're going to define all of our fruit that we want to spawn. And we're going to actually just use a coroutine for this. Let's call it spawn fruit. Oh, South Africa. Okay. That also explains why you don't have Pokemon Go yet. I'm actually curious if they even have, like, defined the map there. Oh, really? It's in the UK now? I didn't know that. That's actually, I guess, yeah, it's been about a week now, a week and a half. So, yeah. I guess that makes sense that it's been out for that long. And so they probably should be releasing it to more places. So for this, actually, I'm just gonna call start coroutine spawn fruit. Okay, so while true, yield return new. So basically, all I'm doing is just kind of setting up. No, not 2 seconds. 1 second. Oh, I didn't even know that. I mean, I guess it makes sense that you need iOS 8, but like it's still just because like it drains the battery, and I'm sure it's not optimized for iOS 7. Park and play Pokemon Go for real just through some. That's great. I thoroughly approve. You just need real life Pokeballs. That's all you need. I guess tennis balls are a good equivalent to that. All right, so spawn fruit. All we're gonna do is instantiate random fruit. So for that, do fruit prefabs random dot range, and we're gonna go random dot range for fruit, or sorry, 0f to fruit prefabs dot length. So that's the line that's just gonna get us from, if I can figure out where my syntax error is. Oh no, sorry, not 0f. There we go. So that's the line that's just gonna pick us a random fruit. Choose Pokemon Go slicer. Imagine zombie slicing. It's like on mobile, yeah. People will play it. If you put the word, if you say Pokemon Go zombie slicer, people will download it. That's a thing. Anything with you might get sued. That's something that might happen. And speaking of, for game object, funny thing is the acronym is Go. So subliminal messages here. If Nintendo sees this, they might sue me. That's the thing that might happen. So cool. We have our Go, and for this, I'm just gonna go ahead and get component rigid body, and let's just get a reference to it. Rigid body temp, and for this, what I'm gonna do is set the velocity to be new. I forget what I used. I think it was like 0f, 5f, and then like 0.5f. I think that's right. Basically, I mean, you just want to shoot it up and then let gravity pull it down. That's basically all I'm doing there. And then for this, I think what I wanted to do, oh yeah, and then you just want to just create a random spawn point. And we'll just use the wherever the game object is as the spawn point. And we'll just create 3 pause equals transform dot position, and then pause dot x plus equals random dot range from -1f to 1f. We can play with those values, but like it's not this. I don't know why Visual Studios defaults to that. Fruit Ninja Unicorn Star Blender. Why? Why not indeed? And then yeah, then just for our Go object, just set its position to pause. And I think that does it. We might want to also just make sure I think you can set this in the prefab, but just make sure use gravity is enabled, and this is the verbose way of writing this thing. And yeah, so it just spawns a fruit every 1 second, and we have the coroutine started. So let's just go ahead and instead of the banana, go ahead and create game object. I'm just gonna reset it to 0. Drag prefabs, not that prefabs. This prefabs, go to fruit and click on this. I'm just gonna call this spawner. We'll call fruit spawner. This is 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this point basically have a very simple fruit spawner. I think this was the right direction. I'm gonna move it up here. And so it's just gonna spawn from this point in some range of in meters. So yeah, there we go. And is it moving? Yeah, okay, perfect. So the velocity is set at an angle towards us, and it still looks really big. What did I put as the scale? That's the real question. 10, 25. I think I might drop these down. Actually, no, I think they look fine in VR, but like we can bring them down further. That's just something to play around with. We can also let's add a script to the fruits that basically says like if you drop below this height, we're just gonna delete you, because otherwise, as you can see here, we get a lot of fruit that spawn really quickly. We could do that. We just have to set the angular velocity. Are the VODs? VODs? What do you mean by VODs? But yeah, we can, let's see. That actually shouldn't be too complicated. Let's see, angular velocity. I forget what this wants. This is a vector 3. What's a good angular velocity? I forget if this is in degrees or not. Let's see, vector 3. Let's get it spinning in the z. That's the z. Yes. So this is y, x, and let's get it spinning in the x. Let's try 10f. Let's see what this looks like. At this point, this is basically kind of what I showed you. The only difference is I added in that low poly park. Yeah, there we go. And we can add a bit of randomness to this so that it doesn't look so wonky. But yeah, that's spawning fruit in a nutshell. Oh, yeah. Videos on demand. Yes, these are saved on the YouTube channel afterwards. Yeah, it'll be recorded permanently. So yeah, we can spawn some fruit. Yeah, let's add some random values in. Probably let's see. Random dot rate. Stop. I think 10 felt like a bit too much, but let's go maybe 5f. And let's also do it in the Z, because why not? Run boundary mesh collider up and destroy mesh on collision. For the yeah, we could do boundaries. I'm thinking, so like one thing you want to be careful, I guess, about boundaries is if for whatever reason the collision, like if I added, for example, where is it? No, I just want it empty. I don't know why that took me so long to figure that out. We can add box collider here and then just kind of drag that down. I think for our purposes, we just kind of want to, if it drops below a certain value, like just delete it. With this, like it's still kind of finite. Like a box collider isn't an infinite plane, so we'll do that even without a box collider. And we can do that honestly. That's actually pretty easy to do. We'll just create a fruit script that we're going to attach to all of them. Go here, and open sesame maybe? Is that a thing? Nope, that is not a thing. Okay, fine. Yeah, here, just gonna get rid of start, and then we'll just say if transform dot position dot y is less than -10. I think that is like out of sight, out of mind type of thing. Then just destroy this dot game object. So yeah, so update's gonna be called every frame, and if it ever drops below 10, which is just an arbitrary value that I'm pulling out of nowhere, but again, that's all very flexible. And let's call this fruit. Save, and so yeah, so now they should just start disappearing. Yeah, actually we can, yeah, you can see it now. So 10 is just that arbitrary value, but basically, yeah, if it, we can also test it like if x is greater than this value or y is greater, like I'm not sure how I would get there, but we could do that. And yeah, really simple. I mean, and I'm gonna add in the park now, and then we'll just play around with this. But because again, the park is not terribly complicated either. Let's see. What did I want? I wanted this guy. Yeah, let's go ahead and open this and import. I'm actually surprised at how good this low poly park works. It's really, I think it's a really nice park. So that should be imported. Yeah, there it is. I'm just gonna go into the main scene, copy this guy, and let me explicitly copy it. Open this up, close you, and paste somewhere. Where's paste? There. And we'll just reset these values so that it's not floating in the sky. There we go. I'm just go ahead and drag this somewhere. I put it here. Like so. Oh, I should have, whoops. One thing I forgot to do. I should have actually, let me put these together as a game object, reset the value, reset this value. Okay, cool. Let me just, and the reason I'm just kind of dragging and dropping them under a same game object is because they kind of go together. I guess I could also put the spawner under the camera rig, but they're kind of different. This is gameplay, and I have caps lock on. So yeah, so now let's just drag the gameplay over to the park, or like this, not the park, but you know what I mean. This I guess this is the river, although it doesn't really look like a river. I'm gonna go ahead, this is static, I think. It is now. We can also bake the lighting in, just to make it look a bit more realistic. I don't know how long this would take though. Oh, it's already auto baking, perfect. And yeah, we're in the park. The lighting is a little off because we're using a different skybox than the one that they use in their default scene. But yeah, I mean, now we can move this a little bit. Let's just wait for it to bake. let's place it on exactly. It's like, well, there's not really any good place to place. I guess I could be on the path, but why not be swimming in the river? I think that's fine. There's space. There's always space in a river. That's a thing. So yeah, we'll just hopefully it doesn't take too long to bake. That's what I'm hoping on or banking on. But I think while it's baking, we can take a break if you want to catch up with this or I mean, yeah, I'm just gonna take a break into ZenBlade and then post in the chat while I'm doing that, like what other things you would want to see. Because I mean, this is basically kind of what I had planned for today. Like I said, nothing terribly complex to get this up and running. But if you want to see other things, we can work together to kind of figure that out. But while you're doing that, I'm gonna do some ZenBlade, and it should be fun. Oh, baking. So baking. Oh, that is gonna come. Let me grab some headphones. So baking is basically the process of like, if you have static objects in your scene, Unity can then perform some complicated lighting algorithms to basically figure out like how like indirect light jumps in your scene, or like how shadows work and like can smooth them out. And but the caveat there is that your scene needs to be defined as static, as in like, for example, I think the shadow is baked in now. So if I like move, I'm gonna turn auto bake off, but oh yeah, okay. So yeah, I just killed the baking. But like for if I have this baked, and I'm just gonna bake it now. Oh, I don't have any. That light isn't. Sorry, that baking does nothing because this is not a baked light. But the idea of baking is basically, if you have static objects in there and you define your lights as baked. So like if we had to like point lights for this guy, which we'll add that afterwards. That's not terribly complicated to do. But if we have some like lights in our scene, we will basically define them as baked, and then we just perform some calculations right now that will then basically make our scene look a lot better. Oh, cookies and cakes. Yeah, I'm just gonna mosey on out of here. Go bake some cookies and cakes, and yeah, that come back in who knows how long that takes. We could, if I found some good cookies, we could add that in. That's that is a thing that could happen. All right, let's play some Zenblade. What? Now the real question is, which setting I should go to for my controllers. Oh, this is backwards. I hate when it's backwards. They also added in this second blade here. Yeah, there we go. And yeah, if we also look at this guy, they also have it in. It's a lot more subtle, but I think it works just as well. And it just adds that quick feel to it, which I really like. So let me go to that. I guess free play. I think free play is the only one that lets you use dual wielding, which I wish they had more of. Oh man. So one thing. What are you guys' thoughts on? So with Fruit Ninja and like what we just developed, we don't actually take a look at the position of the blade, whereas Zenblade does. Like you can only slice with your sword, I guess the blade of the sword, like actually hitting these objects. So I don't like that. I mean, me personally, I think it's still cool though. Oh, this one doesn't have slicing though, which kind of sucks. But sorry, not slicing. Poking. Can't stab as much as I want to. Oh wait, oh no, I think I can. Here. Okay. Oh wait, yeah, I almost got it. I think there's like one case where you can actually like cut into it. I think it's actually kind of a neat effect. No, there's no actual. Oh, there we go. If you don't fully slice through the mesh, then you can get it on here. I think that's a fun effect. It's a bit more complicated to program in, but that's also neat. I think the other interesting thing that they do in here is that you actually get haptic feedback from like ping against anything, which is kind of weird when you hit your own sword, because like you don't get the right movement, and I don't like that, but still something interesting to point out. there are a lot of like interesting design choices with Fruit Ninja. It's a very simple game, but like, and like as you can probably tell, it's also pretty simple to like dev, but like provided you know what you're looking for. But like overall, like I still think there are like some neat little mechanics that you can do to play around with it. I think swords in general for VR are really cool. Like I don't know why. I guess it's maybe because I've always been like a little fascinated with like swords and like playing around with them. I don't. That's just a weird part of me. Maybe yeah. I don't know. I don't know why I've always been fascinated with swords. It's weird. It's a weird thing. But yeah. I mean, this is. I don't think. I think the way we've implemented it now, we can't get any like piercing because we calculate it as soon as you hit it. If you did it with like on collision stay as opposed to collision enter, you might be able to get some weird like random effects like this, which I think is still super cool. Yeah, like, yeah. The fact that I can put this blade through. I mean, they're checking for impact velocity, which I think is neat. Oh, I lost it. No, I lost it. Also, I really like with their bombs. Maybe we can have this in. I don't know. You guys tell me what you want to see, or like we can also end this stream super early. Either way it works, but like with their bombs, like I really like. Bomb. They add that explosion for the other two, which I think is just a really nice effect. There's no, yeah, there are too many like small minor things that really just like make the thing. And like that's kind of one of those things about VR that I'm like, sometimes I wish other people like would appreciate those smaller other details, because like without them, they like you won't like the experience, but like with them, they take a lot of work to put in, but like you don't notice them, and then it's like when you see it with it's not, you start people like complain about that. I don't know. It's one of those weird things that like people won't notice like the time you take to make those small minor details, but they're like super valuable. And I think that's just one of those weird things about games in general. This is just like I don't know. It's hitting the ball. It's like hitting the bombs is relaxing. Hitting the fruit is relaxing. This is just like one of those titles where you just like go in, especially in Zen mode. Unless you're like doing a challenge, like you just relax. I think that's great. gets you. If you're trying to dev, gets you in a good mood to dev. If you're trying to do anything, always a good time. All right, I'm gonna try to get. Oh, it's been 5. Oh, that's convenient that I get to see the time. I can know how much time I'm wasting. Actually, I'm wondering. Oh, so I think I could do this in Fruit Ninja, but I can't do this here. It's like get a nice chopping motion. Like otherwise my fruit gets stuck. Just interesting. Let me actually try to shoot for 100. That was a mistake. Oh no, not. Oh no. That's 200. And I don't know if you guys noticed this on the screen, but it's kind of laggy for me, probably because I'm streaming and not recommending specs. But I mean, luckily for me, I don't get that motion sick. Like in these cases, like if you toss me on like a VR roller coaster, I can get pretty bad. But this is fine. This I guess I'm weird like that. It's like drop the frame rate, doesn't bother, but move me artificially, I get angry. Yeah, I definitely feel like I like being able to slice in any direction a lot better. It's like, it's not realistic, but it just feels a lot cleaner. Let me get to 250 and then I'll check the chat and see what we want to see. Come on, 250. I'm wrong. haptics? Is that a thing? Like, yeah. It's totally weird, like playing and then like hearing the haptics. But definitely, let's see. Oh, Abdo changed his icon. I didn't realize that. uh, uh, oh, may. What am I supposed to answer better? Let's see. I need to. Big GI. Props. Yep. You know what you need. Okay, center unity. Water Pro. Yeah, water is really nice. Chop things with my hands. Well, if you put in hand models, you could also chop fruits with your hands. That's a thing. Yeah, the Unity. I think the Unity Water Pro actually works really well. Fruit that you did. You've stumbled into the fruit matrix. Let's see. As an old school weebo, seeing those katanas. Yeah. Cool. Let's see. Oh, Unity. Single VR pass rendering and Unity best. Oh, with the water? Maybe. I mean, this is one of the reasons why I don't use the beta, because there are bugs with it. So yeah, that's interesting. I guess let me throw this out in the chat. We can like what other features you want to see? Let me add some of that lighting that I was talking about before, and then that probably will buy some time. But I mean, yeah, like the gist of Fruit Ninja VR is kinda there. I'm gonna switch this to night. No, come on. Looks reasonable. Let's add some point lights that we're gonna bake into our scene. That's what I wanted to say. We're gonna add a point light. Let's move it here. Probably make this. Would be hunger. Somewhere around here. That looks reasonable. Probably make this a lot bigger to make the intensity a bit more, and then probably like 4. Oh yeah, lab render is valuable. Not gonna deny that. I mean, lab render is really good for real-time lights, but since we're doing baked lights, it really doesn't matter here. That looks Gucci. Let's duplicate that, move that into this lamp. Duplicate this, move that into this lamp. I'm just being approximate with this, but one more duplicate. Let's actually, for all of these, up the range to like 25, and then drop the intensity down. Alright, and then maybe change this into a orangish color. That looks fine. And then switch these to baked. Okay, and that our park is all static, so then we can just go into here and hit build. And yeah, this process takes a little bit of time, but it'll make the scene look a lot nicer. That I can say, or at least I'm hoping. and then it looks a lot worse. That, knowing me and my luck, sometimes that just happens. But we'll see. We could also play around with these settings, but for now, I think this is fine. Just kind of make it, just play around with it, play around with environments, this baked lighting should also help with the metallic feel of the sword and like really bring that to life. I think another thing that I'm curious, like what you guys think, is with the with like one of the big differences between Zenblade and Fruit Ninja VR is like the environment actually. Like for Zenblade, it's as you probably saw there, it's this dojo, and like it's kind of a little small. Like it's I don't think it's that bad, but like some people much rather prefer the Fruit Ninja one where it's a lot more wide open and it doesn't feel as claustrophobic. And I think that's one thing that's interesting about VR that not doesn't like definitely doesn't apply to mobile or like any other medium really. Is that claustrophobic feeling. And like I don't know. Let's do a lightsaber option instead of a katana. Yeah, there we go. This there are like some we can yeah, okay. So this okay, so that's actually probably issues with the light map UVs. So that was what was being used for this. Um, this as far as the park is concerned. If we actually probably go, I don't know if the model is there to do that. I don't have the materials for a lightsaber, but that could be something for the future for sure. I think the what was it Light Blade VR is what it is now. Um, yeah. Okay. So this does the park give me the model? Yes, it does. Okay. So let's go ahead and generate some light maps. So that'll take a little bit of time. I should have checked this. That was a mistake of mine. But still, okay. So perfect. And I think we just have to regenerate it, the mesh, or regenerate this. Let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, lightsabers are actually again also probably as easy as a katana. You just gotta I think for lightsabers like the sound is probably the most important thing. In production, you know many where you pick your sword slash weapon. Have a lightsaber fight coming out soon. Oh, like actually, so like, are you thinking like raw, Zubin? Are you thinking like raw data, where it's like you basically you can pick each and every weapon and then duke it out? Because that, yeah, that is something. If you guys haven't seen it, so if you Master and Indie is another YouTube channel. You can definitely check out his VR work also. But he's working on a really sick sword fighting game. And I think that's also really cool. And the AI he used is also like free to use. I might try to see if we can emulate something like that in the future. Like I said, like I like sword fighting as a concept in VR. There are like a few issues like as far as like haptics are concerned, but like I think it's still really cool. All right, just letting the baking do its job now that we have some light maps in here. So hopefully the shadows do their thing. And any day now. Yeah, that's one of the things about baking. It's like it's efficient at runtime, but like sometimes, especially if you're streaming, will eat up some time. But that's fine. Luckily for a stream like this, we have time to kill, which is I think is nice. And I mean like these streams, and I'm excited it kind of turned out this way. I think while at least while Thrushton was here, is like these are a chance to like talk with other VR devs about like other things you're working on, connect with others, and overall just have a good time, which I think super valuable. And yeah, I think baking's almost done, or I want it to be almost done. Also, I guess another question I'll throw out there is would you guys, so this is I think something Abdo and I have to duke out, but would you guys want to see for I guess next week, do you want to see a programming tutorial or a rigging nah, or whatever, a Blender tutorial? Let me put it that way. I think those are kind of the options on the table that now Abdo and I have to fight for which one we want to prioritize. I think I know what Abdo's answer is, but I want to see him put it in the chat. All right, boom, 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 boom. Light it up, light it up. Hopefully this looks good. Crossing my fingers. Nice. Yeah, this looks really nice. Yeah, so this looks a lot better. It's still a little dark in areas because the light I don't think actually hits it that well. And we can. Oh wait, where is that shadow coming from? Is that from the tree? That's interesting. Like, sorry, I guess I should. I'm looking at this chair over here. Why not both? I wish we could do both. It's just kind of both of us are like working on other projects right now, so it's like who gets to spend more time on what, and so then things just kind of get staggered out. Rigging and Blender, I'd like. CIK rigging tutorial. 2 for 3D, 1 for coding. Abdo, I think you're winning. Which means more work for him this week. But that, yeah, I mean, yeah, both of us, yeah. Beyond these tutorials, we're working on a lot of other things that, some of which I can't talk about, but I think I'm super excited for to actually reveal. Okay, okay, that's awesome. I'm glad that people are enjoying the 3D tutorial stuff because I think that's super, super, super valuable. All right, Abdo, it's all you, buddy. Next week is Blender. I think, what is that? That's four for Blender, right? 3? No, 4. I think that's 4. I think based on my very limited exposure to Blender and the stuff from last week, it looks yeah, based on my limited exposure to Blender, it looks really nice. I think the only other tool I would consider as far as 3D modeling is concerned, I think Blender will actually get this support fairly soon since it's open source. But I think Maya now has that VR editor of some kind, or it wasn't no, Autodesk. I think Autodesk now has that. I think that is probably super valuable. So, all right, yeah, I think in our limited pool, I think we have a winner, which is Blender. I think, yeah, we could, for the shadows, probably we could yeah, a lot of the baking we can add in a bit more, not from the sky, but we could probably add in some other reflections. I mean, I think, so what does it look like from here? From here, it's actually probably a little dark. Actually, no, that's not too bad. If I just hit play, what does it look like? Oh yeah, nice. Oh yeah, and we have that random spinning too. I forgot about that. But that looks cool too. And now they actually feel like kind of like real fruit, just kind of spinning around. What also is that Blender has some tricky situations where you need to know. Oh, I did not know that. But yeah, no, this looks. I want to play around with this now. Wow. While more informal votes are coming in as far as what people want to see. The scaling feels a little off, but that's fine. Oh yeah, that lighting looks so good on the blade. I thoroughly approve. Like, it really does feel a lot more metallic now, which I really like. And how does this feel? Yes. Like, it really now feels like this environment still feels a little dark, but like that's something that can be fixed with a bit more lighting and changes to the ambient light. But let's see, I'm gonna chop you. Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I think I need to add haptics to this, but for some reason, this just kind of feels a lot more clean than Zen Blade, or like a lot more satisfactory. And not that sounds like bad, but like just kind of just like chop 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 like that, like and just get that tomato broken down or that carrot snipped out. Like I don't know, that just it feels rewarding. That's the power of VR when it makes things like that rewarding. Cool. That felt good. The blender love. The blender love wins. Rolling. Oh my fucking cool. Um, but yeah, I mean, I can keep the stream going for another 30 minutes, and we could do stuff like haptics, or we can also end it here. I'll let the chat decide. The chat is king, at least in my opinion. But while I wait for that, I'm just going to see if I can figure out how to do haptics, because that's a thing I want to know. And I love how I have to Google this stuff. There's no good documentation. There's never good documentation for this stuff. Input, trigger, haptic pulse. Longer. Versions. Oh, interesting. Listing where. Look at haptics. All right, let's look at haptics. I think I found something. Let's experiment with this. Sword. So for this, so this is just gonna be on the sword. So one thing I have to do here is we're gonna Steam VR tracked controller. Let's call this controller. Best naming ever. Let's copy and paste in this thing. And instead of index, I think this is controller index. Steam VR controller input. Oh, we don't need that. I think. No. What did he use? Chat has been blessed. The power of the chat, yes. I will bless the chat all I want. I have been trying to contact Oculus for the touch, and I really want to play around with it because I feel like there are a lot of cool interactions that are different from the Vive controllers for touch control, like versus touch controllers. But no, I have not been blessed with Oculus Touch. Yeah, Callum, I contacted him, no response, which sucks. But hey, if they don't want more devs playing around with it, that's fine by me. That's up to them. Not that's not up to my that's not in my control. I I mean, once you get them, I'm totally down to play with them, Brian, because I think I would be super down to play with the touch. I think my demo experience wasn't that great with them, but that they felt great as like a hardware device. I think that was just the software was lousy or like not using it effectively, but like I think they're great. 5,000 touch kits. Nice. Oh, sick. That SVVR office. Yeah, I think get those touches. That's a golden. Let's see. What do I want here? I want controller dot. No, let me go to my favorite extra script in the world, which is basically it's the test throw. I love the test throw. Oh wait, no, not this. The script test throw. It is. Oh, I want a tracked object. That's a thing, not tracked controller. There we go. 1 year now. Perfect. So this is going to be tracked object dot index. Not index. Why not index? Can't convert. Wait, what was used here? Oh, it needs to be converted to an int. Classic, and int. Okay. In theory, and this is a big theory, this should work when we do on collision enter. So let me just do a, so let's go here. Long vibration, or sorry, start coroutine, long vibration, and long vibration goes from, for like, let's go 0.5 seconds at a strength of 0.5. Let's see if that works. Neon words, how cool they are. VR needs more new devs, so that is a thing that I love when people are super open about that. Okay, I think let's see if we have haptics. Cross my fingers. Come on. Here. Okay, wait, does this no? That would be a negative. No, nothing. Unless there's an error. Oh wait, I didn't assign things. That would explain it. The classic case of forgetting to add things in the inspector. There we go. So gotta drag left in, gotta drag right in. Perfect. Cool. That was too long. Yeah, okay, well maybe make this like 0.1 seconds. Let's see. I don't know if it feels good though. I guess, or maybe that's just the strength is too much. I think I'm gonna drop both down. Like it should be a lot shorter. So like, I don't know, 0.2. Let's try 0.2. That might feel good. Let me know in the chat if you can hear things. Like I can't tell if this vibration's heard. So the vibration feels weird. This also might be because I think like if you have a sore like sound clip playing, it would feel a lot better. That might be a thing. But I'm not gonna go searching for that right now. Because for all I know, YouTube would be like, no, that is copyrighted music and you can't use it. I think it feels good, and then if you add sound so that I don't hear this like sound, it would be a lot better. Oops, that was no. Did I not hook this up properly? Why is my left controller not working? I probably didn't hook this up right. That's probably a thing. That seems weird that it's not interacting with anything. Let's see what's wrong with the left controller. Let's see. Left controller. This can be a 0. That probably means I didn't apply something. This is controller right, controller left. Oh, classic. This part didn't get applied. The mesh collider here. Let me just copy that over. I don't know. I thought these were set as prefabs, but something broke. Oh well. Yeah. Me and Threshton super interested to get the touch. Let's see. How would you? Where's the wisdom? What about haptics? Well, yeah. Well, I mean, as far as haptics are concerned, this is basically the code that I think gets it to work. And it looks like, so as far as I understand here, so that you can only, so this one just provides a pulse. What was the other bit of code that they used? Oh no, this is for actually using it. Trigger haptic pulse. So yeah, so you can pulse it, and so what is this doing? Let's figure out what this is doing. So you provide the strength. You provide AB. So the strength is some value between 0 and 4,000. I don't know why they chose 4,000. That's interesting. And so that just lerps. So that just takes that value from 0 to 1 and then lerps it into the appropriate trigger, the haptic pulse, and then just kind of pulses that for however long. Okay. And that just kind of keeps it going, and then, I mean, on the controller, I guess that translates into, I don't know, it doesn't seem continuous. It's, I guess, like it's just a quick little pulse, and then you just have to do that over and over again. Called duration microseconds. Oh, interesting. Yeah. So I guess what they did for strength is just how long you hold it for, and so they're doing it for 0 to 4,000 microseconds. So the stronger, so you could, I guess, do in theory a really long. So if we did, what's a good value here? So this is actually a pulse. This isn't actually. So if you just did something like, so let's copy this. Paste this here, and instead of this lerp value, let's go ahead and do, we're doing 4,000, let's do 10,000. Actually no, let's do 100,000. Oh, it's a U short. What's the biggest value for a U short? That's the real question. U short is 2 bytes, so it's 2 to the 16. Is that right? So 65,000 approximately. That's, I think, are 65, 535, 535. You count 0. Oh, really? It won't even go anything over 4,000? Oh, that's annoying. Huh. So I guess so the only way to actually do a pulse is something. So let's see. Well, yeah, okay, so fine. So you're only allowed to go to this value, and then anything over that is, I mean, I guess artificially clamped, but then that doesn't even matter. Huh. 4,000 microseconds, not even milliseconds. I mean, clearly someone wanted to do 4,000 microseconds, but that's just still, why, right? Like, why? that doesn't make any sense. Uh, yeah. Only 0.001 seconds. Yeah. If you don't do it in a loop, you'll get a pulse. Yeah, exactly. SteamVR doing its magic at being the best documented SDK ever. Ugh. Okay. Well, that's good to know, I guess. So yeah, this is how you do vibration, and it's buggy, and yeah, that's basically what I'm hearing from the chat. Like they want to put into, yeah. But no, I don't think it, is it really an intensity? Like, it's like for a fraction of a second, but I think the pulse, I guess they're correlated at that low value is the thing. So like at 400 microseconds, if I hold it for that much longer, then it just kind of has that time to warm up, I guess, to be that much stronger. Um, Still weird. Yeah. I mean, I think they did mean duration. Like, I think it's some value between 0 and 4,000 microseconds. And that in return, like, since that's such short duration, like, that in turn results in, like, big haptic changes. But, like, it's still, like, because, like, let's put that in proportion to a frame. So that's 1/60th is 1/60th or 1/90th of a second is, like, the length of a frame. So at 0.04, that's a lot less than, yeah. So you could do multiple, like, wait, no, my number's right. I'm horrible at math, FYI. That's a thing that everyone should know about me. So that's, no, wait, that's not the value I want this. So it's 0.01. So yeah, so even 0.04 is like the max that you could do for a single frame. And just still like less than half of a frame. Yeah. Motor spins only a few. Yeah, I think that's what's happening. All I can say is that sucks. And yeah, it results in pulses and not like a full like shaking. Well, I guess yeah, you kind of do need that. Anyway, well, that's haptics. I mean, I think it feels still pretty good overall. And yeah, I think with some sound added, it would be a lot better. But yeah, I mean, I think that's haptics. Thrushin, do you have haptics in your VR SDK? Is that is that a thing you've added in, like for I guess like button presses, and I guess that's mainly the thing. Like I guess interacting with any object. Yeah, we use that. We use that. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So yeah, sucks. But I actually, does anyone know for the Oculus Touch, like how is their haptics handled? Like I'd be interested to know that. Wrapped it into the method. Okay. Nice. Sweet. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the intensity is based on that small duration that the that the controller vibrates for. Yeah, I'm assuming the Oculus Touch has some sort of haptic feedback, and I wonder how that translates, how they translated it in the Steam VR plugin for Oculus Touch. I don't know how that works, but I'm assuming like that's a very different interaction. That's for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that is legit. Close that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think if there's isn't anything else that people want to see, we can probably end this early. I'll stick around in the chat for a little bit, but like, yeah, I think that's for the most part. I mean, a nicely lit scene. Like, it could be done better, and I think we can tweak some parameters to get this looking a lot nicer, especially in these edge cases here. But I think overall that works well. We added haptics, which is cool. We can slice objects. We can have a nice motion blur effect on the tip of our sword, which I think is really cool. I would look for Xbox 360 controller motor. Is for Xbox 360 for, I think I'm missing something, for like the haptics on it. Oh, yeah. That's actually, I think I think Steam probably has something weaker in here. I can't, like the Xbox shakes a lot more than this does. That's what I'm feeling, but I could be wrong about that. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. If there's nothing else, I think Abdo knows what he's doing for next week as far as a rigging tutorial is concerned, which should be fun. I'm looking forward to that personally. And I think it sounds like a lot of other people are, so that's cool. And yeah, I posted this in the chat earlier, but in the process of learning Unreal, if people are interested in seeing that, I'm gonna try and shoot for the next stream to be that, which I think should be a lot of fun. Something I'm kind of surprised there isn't that much documentation, or as much as I'd like, for like transitioning over from Unity to Unreal. But I think that'll change as we progress into the future. And be letting us download your build. Build for reasons. We can put this up. I mean, like I said, this isn't terribly complicated to build, so it's probably honestly probably more valuable to like build it yourself. But I mean, if there's enough interest, we can put it up. Um, at the moment, we're only doing streams. It's kind of turned into a bi-weekly thing of on Saturdays at 10 a.m. But I think I know it's kind of sucky for people in Australia. Like it's a really lousy time, or like people I guess on the East Coast or east side of the world, eastern side of the world, if that's a thing. Um, like I guess like about the whole Asia side and Australia side. So I mean I think at some point when we are a bit more stable as far as what we're doing with our lives, yes, I do want to do multiple streams, potentially also during the week. But until that happens, we're just gonna have to be moving at a slower pace of like I guess bi-weekly on streams, and then which we were doing weekly streams, but I think the bi-weekly is working better. Um, More so just because I think there's nice versions like being able to do like smaller tutorials like the art stuff I think is really valuable. So that's the long-winded answer to that. um, yeah. And I guess that's one way to define stable. Uh, yeah, yeah. And that's actually probably the only way to just define stable. But yeah, one day when VR is big enough, that'll be the dream. That is what I'm looking forward to when VR is big enough that we can say, yeah, we are very stable with the state of VR right now. I think that's the dream. That's the dream. But yeah, I think yeah, I'll stick around. I'll stick around to the chat. I think Abdo's still here somewhere in the chat, buried among a bunch of a bunch of comments, which is good. Which is good. I enjoy that live aspect of it. But even with tutorials, I don't think I can make a concept that really conveys my idea. Um, I would say just kind of shoot for it. I mean, that's even something really basic doesn't have to be super optimized or anything. Like I think can help convey that idea. And yeah, exactly. Brian knows. Kyodan. Which Reddit question? That is the real question. No pun intended. Oh, that wasn't even a pun. That was just bad. Yeah, if you're trying to post a link, you'll probably have to like break it apart, maybe like make the dots. Awesome, man. That's Jay. Yeah. Glad you enjoyed, Jay. Yeah, there's like a little glare on my on my monitor. And I'm like, wait, duck question. Cool. All right. Yeah, I'll stick around the chat and then answer stuff. But yeah, if you haven't, I feel like a lot of people have, but if you haven't, make sure to subscribe. Subscribe. just if you want to keep up to date and get notifications and stuff like that. And for suggestions, you can post them on our forum on FusedVR.com. That's probably the easiest way to just kind of congregate everything as far as topics that people want to go over. And yeah, also you can follow us on social media. But other than that, this has been FuseMan, and I'm signing out. I'll see you guys later. Boop.